Hey, good morning, everybody. It's January 16th, Fedora Konflux SIG. Welcome, everybody. Tomasz, is this your first time here?
It actually is, yes. So, hey, everybody. Yeah, you probably know me. I'm Tomasz. I work on what we internally call Realm Konflux, but publicly it will be something like RPMs on Konflux. So I'm here to be available for the community in case they need to reach out.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. Good to have you here. And we've got a bunch of things on the agenda. We didn't meet through most of December, right? It was various holiday things and other conflicts got in the way. In the agenda doc under current things, one thing I think that changed since we last met is that I tried to organize a bunch more issues in the gitlab.com/Fedora section. So maybe I won't bother sharing screen to show, but there's more issues there than there were before. Some have already been resolved and taken care of, but that's a place to look for things to do or things that are problems if you're fishing for an odd thing to do on a week. And then like my personal routine, I'm trying to respond to pings as people have questions, but I've also got a task reminder every week to do one thing, at least one thing for the Fedora instance to try to slowly increase the sea level on how solid that instance is. On enabling auto merge for MintMaker in the info repo, Julia, do you want to update us on that one?
Yes, it has been a while. I posted a PR. I remember it was blocked by some other issue.
That's right.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I remember this now. It's that when I went to go look at the health of the instance back in November, multi-platform controller was broken. And it's that we had let it update to follow the latest in the upstream repo, but multi-platform controller required new versions of Tecton's APIs. But Tecton itself wasn't being updated by our Renovate core installers. And so it comes down to we need to upgrade Tecton. And once we upgrade Tecton, then we can turn the auto merging of the infra deployment sync from upstream installer back on. I wasn't sure how Tecton is installed. And Gal, I was hoping, if you remember, it was now many months ago when it was set up. What's the right method for updating that? Do we want to switch to follow and use the same nightly builds that the Red Hat instances of Konflux use? Or do we want to use upstream Tecton, OpenShift Pipelines operator installer? I don't know.
I think that we should use official releases and not nightlies. Because I don't know unless the OpenShift pipelines team will dedicate time to also resolve issues on that cluster. Otherwise, we can't use something that may be I don't want to say not buggy, because it's not buggy, but may have issues that no one encountered yet.
Yeah.
So I think that we should stick with installing the latest released version, and I think that this is what we are doing already. We verify.
While you're looking, I'll just say, and I'll put in sidebar, that I looked into it again back in November. I looked in the operator hub on the cluster in the console, and I saw 2 different operators that appeared to be installed for OpenShift pipelines. For me, I wasn't sure if that mattered or not.
I can take a look. That's I've shared the link in chat. That's the link to the subscription that we're using to install OpenShift pipelines.
Okay. I think it's a question of bumping that to the next channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also probably updating Tecton results, because it had major changes as well recently.
Okay.
Tecton results has its own folder. And yeah, it will require some work to install the new version of Tecton results, because it requires also log forwarder to be installed. It's not like one-click change.
Okay, we can try to sort that out between the four of us. We could also go and try and ask the OpenShift pipelines teams or some people in the Tecton community if they would be willing to come and help us.
That would be great.
I'll try to reach out to them and see if anybody's willing to come and help. And if not, then we'll just have to sort it out. Tecton results might be for a little bit while we try to upgrade it and then fix it, and that's okay because we don't really have any real production users right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had this last point under current things just to get through, and boy, I mean, it's been so long. It's hard when we've missed a meeting for a whole month. Remove CPU limits from the limit range and resource quota, aligning with the removal of CPU limits from Tecton tasks.
Yes, I've added it. Something new. Like there is no reason to put CPU limits, because like CPU is not like memory where like pod is getting killed, it uses too much memory. For CPU, you just like get less time to use it if there is load on the machine. So no reason to put limits.
Mm-hmm.
There is a corresponding change in the build definition repository to remove those limits. And it also requires a change to the limit range. So pods without limits won't get default limit, and also the removal from the resource, the limits from the resource quota, because it doesn't make sense anymore if we don't put limits on the tasks themselves.
Are both the limit range and the resource quota, are those defined in for deployments for Fedora or in some subsidiary?
In the tenants config repository.
Perfect. Tenants config, right? Of course, because they're per tenant quota. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Let's after the meeting, let's get that filed as a task in gitlab.com/Fedora just so we track it there. And then I think it's. I mean, Gal, did you intend to do that? Otherwise,
no, it was not. It's just an FYI. It was done.
Ah. Okay.
And maybe I need to mention FYI in
cool.
front.
I thought it was a to-do. I'm glad it's done. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else in the like current things section, things currently ongoing you guys want to bring up? Tomasz, I should have mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, feel free to add a point anywhere in the agenda if you want to talk about RPM specific stuff or questions or anything about the instance in general as we go.
I can maybe just provide a short update from yesterday's call we had, and Pavel is going to work on open sourcing the pipeline. So the RPM build pipeline should be open source in like super upstream, which we call like Konflux CI, and then he will be working also on like Fedora downstream, upstream, how to call it.
God, I'm trying to paraphrase this as a note in the notes. Let me know if I get it wrong.
You get it right. Thanks.
Awesome. Cool. Cal, you remember the thing we talked about with Avi about decentralizing build definitions so that there's a flow for how to cascade stuff in build definitions? This is a perfect fit for that, where that RPM build pipeline will work at first for everybody in Fedora, but definitely at some point somebody's going to want to have a customization on that for Fedora or for another downstream, and we'll need that then. Under new things, I was trying to fix auto scaling on the cluster. We had a fixed number of nodes. It wasn't enough for the Fedora boot C group to build what they wanted to build, and they needed to scale to add more nodes. I tried to do it with Terraform and failed. I was able to update our configs and push it, but Terraform apply was just not working. I got the ability to put in a new token for Terraform to talk to RHCS, but that that didn't solve the problem. It yielded a new problem. So again, this is now a month old. I kind of forget what was wrong, but this is a thing we think we need to fix. Meanwhile, anything we need to do infrastructure-wise, we're doing an OCM using the UI, which is fine, but it's not the way you want to be operating. You want to be in. I want to be in a GitOps mode. This, I think, maybe the next point here is the most important one. It's the most pressing one. The bootc group, that same Fedora bootc group, wants us to upgrade the cluster version. There's something, we're on OpenShift 4.14 right now. With OpenShift 4.15, they can use a new feature that allows them to mount /dev/fuse into the container build, and that's going to let them build the bootc image in the way that they want to be building it, rather than with RPM OS tree, or RPM OS tree task. Yeah, Gal, go ahead.
Do they build this on the cluster, or they are using MPC?
They
They probably use MPC because they use root.
Yeah, must be.
So have they tried to? Maybe we need to upgrade the VM images that MPC is using to a new RHEL version.
Yeah, it's quite possible that they should be using MPC. They just don't know to be using MPC yet. You know, I don't know that that's true or not. So that's a good point. We can go and probe again. Cool. That aside, how do we go about upgrading the cluster? I looked in what is it, an OCM? It's a click to upgrade, but to go from 4.14 to 4.15, we have to upgrade some account roles in AWS, and I don't think I have direct access to the AWS account. You have to run some ROSA commands.
The cluster was deployed using Terraform, so like I would need to ask if we can just use the Terraform modules to do the upgrade, and it will, do the right configurations on AWS for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Who would you ask rather than putting it on you? And maybe I can help track it down.
Just the info team, like our info team. We'll ask
Yeah.
Manish, Eran. They have the most experience with that.
Okay. There's other fires they're fighting. Can you recommend somebody for me to reach out to that would bother them the least, or should we just wait? We could wait a week until things settle.
I think that we should wait. So I think that we should wait a week, and then get someone from the info team to also join this weekly meeting. Maybe it can be we can rotate the people that join, but we need we need the team to participate.
Mm-hmm.
We are really close to get over with those outages that we have on the other clusters, and then it will bring us some time back to invest in Fedora.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Not something immediate, but let's say in 6 weeks, we probably upgrade to the new UI. To use the new UI. Oh, maybe. Sorry, we can already do it, I think.
Yeah.
We can already do it. We don't need to wait. But in 6 weeks, we can start using namespaces directly without doing this translation between workspaces and namespaces.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If nothing else on the cluster upgrade open floor, there's a bunch of FYIs about build service was broken, MPC was broken, things I dug into. One last one. I haven't actually tried it myself, but OIDC CLI usage should now be possible, where it wasn't before. If nothing else, I mean, that's the end of our agenda. Tomasz, I look forward to coming weeks, Pavel's open sourcing of the RPM build pipeline. Something more to chew on for Fedora there.
I'm also looking forward to that. And also when I'm thinking about that, like, I know that on the internal side, like, we are evaluating what kind of resources we need to build most of the RPMs. So we may bring some RPs on the Fedora instance regarding the resources that may be needed there on the workspaces for the RPM builds. But let's see.
Okay. That's good. Okay, let's close it out. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.